Hello everyone! Just like Corserov, I decided to make an introduction guide to the new class, the Agent. We're gonna go over his skills, how to stay protected, some PvE and PvP combos, as well as some tips and tricks that I found while playing on the global apps. According to PA, the Agent is supposed to be an assassin class that goes in, gets a kill, and then gets out. However, his kit doesn't really feel like that. It feels more like a Deadeye or an Awakening Corsair of the sorts. He has a mix of melee and ranged skills. The melee skills are mostly SA, while the ranged skills are mostly frontal guard. You are much likely going to be abusing your mobility to get a vantage point on the side where you can safely get your frontal guards out, and only really use your melee skills when people engage into you. Either way, let's get started with the guide here. Let's first look at his skill set. Agent comes out with the Rebums released, by the way, unlike any other class we've seen. His passive ability grants him plus 30 AP if we include the Succession passive, as well as 10% crit rate. The 10% crit rate is very important because of the other mechanic this class has, which is the X-Round Reaper. The X-Round Reaper are basically drones that you will attack the enemy as you cast skills. You can also use the C skill to actually summon a drone, and that will basically lock into the enemy and shoot him. The 10% crit rate is important for this skill because, as a lot of you know, summons have 0% crit rate. Therefore, they scale extremely well with crit. You definitely want to run crit Reforged Stones on this class. Not really needed to run Deathblow though. Here to showcase the drones, if I press C, it will lock onto that target and shoot him 4 times, or 3. He also triggers, while for example, the RMB ability will trigger the drone and it will shoot the target. Okay. Besides that, the fact that he has 30 AP passive buff means that he doesn't have an AP self buff. The only other self buff this class has is the passive down here, Tactical Directive, where basically when you cast certain skills, you'll either get evasion or accuracy. You'll get evasion if you're alone, without any allies near you, and you'll get accuracy if there's an ally around this distance of you, here. That's literally the only self buff this class has. Okay, as for skills that CC, this class has a lot of protected CCs, however, no protected knockdowns. If you run the Piercing Round Rebum, I don't know if it's a bug because it doesn't say on the tooltip, but right now Run and Gun gets a knockback, so SA knockback on Run and Gun, which is side LMB. You also have an SA knockback on Q, which is the that comes spinning skill, so this one here. You also have a protected stun on WE, which is Demolition Operation. As you can see, that is also a block jump, so you will go teleport behind the enemy when you use it. Finally, you have another protected stun on Sideways RMB, which will basically be an iframe that leaves a grenade behind and stuns the enemy. Those are the 4 protected CCs that this class has. Now, for the re-CCs that are knockdown, you have RMB, which is Mozambique Drill, which will knock back into knockdown. You have the kick, F, and you have Shift RMB, which is that's Barrage, which will knock back, and then knock down. Okay, these are basically all the CCs that you'll be utilizing while doing PvP. As for Rebums, you have a decent amount of choice. The ones I want to talk about are down here. Piercing Round will make it so your RMB and Shift RMB can actually shoot to targets. So if you don't have this Rebum and you try to RMB, you wouldn't hit that target there on the back. You would only hit the one in the front. Okay, so that's why you can run this Rebum, and you should run this Rebum most likely. As for Explosive Round, this will change how your Shift RMB skill, this one, behaves. What happens that if you go for the explosive round. Shift RMB will come out faster and do a little more damage as base values, but it will lose the explosion, which actually results in less damage total. So I don't really recommend you run explosive round, be it on PvE or PvP. I think piercing round is just a choice for both. Okay. As for the other options, the shift zero bomb is purely PvP on both, so just pick whichever you prefer. And the shift extra bomb, the sin skill does more damage in PvE. So if you really want to use it, you can run this, but the DPS is it's not too important. You'll see on the PvE combo that we don't even use it. And that's pretty much it for the overview of the skills. So how do you stay protected on this class? You can just rotate dashes if you want. So for example, run and gun, and then E, spacebar backwards, dash, run and gun, E, spacebar backwards, dash, run and gun, E, spacebar backwards. So you get the idea. You can just rotate dashes if you want. Of course, this would drain your stamina quite fast. To recover stamina, you have skills like Shift F. E is a dash, but also recovers stamina. Shift C is a decent SA to recover stamina. You can also SF if you want, etc. So staying protected on the class is not too hard after you get used to the cooldowns. You have a lot of options. You can easily keep kiting, do a WF here, then a Q, Shift F for recovery stamina. Now you do an E, double. So yeah. Once you get used to the cooldowns, it's very easy to stay protected on this class. You just need to practice a bit, okay? Now, other things to note here. This class has a lot of healing on it, on the SA melee skills. Shift F, Bullet Storm, will heal you by around 1000 something HP, it's really good. SF, that ring will also heal you by a lot, and Q, that comes spinning, will also heal you by a lot when you use it on people. So all of these skills are really good when trading enemies because they will keep you topped up if they try to SA trade you. Finally, when you're actually fighting people, I would tell you that a lot of the frontal guard skills are actually very worth to cast. Specifically, SE, those grenades do a lot of damage. Shift LMB does a lot of damage if you get back attacks on it. And in general, for example, casting that's Barrage from afar, just to trade, also a good idea. When you're playing this class, you're basically going to be rotating between SA skills and frontal guard skills. It's how the class is supposed to be played, basically. As I said in the introduction, it doesn't really feel like an assassin class. It feels more like a skirmisher that stays in the side, can kind of go in and do some skills, but then we'll have to back off and do some frontal guards after, okay? You're not supposed to stay full melee at all times, that's for sure. Okay, so let's move on to PvE. Before I start talking about the PvE combo, when you're moving from pack to pack, you have a couple options of how to engage into the mobs. You can, for example, do W, LMB, which is forward run and gun, into WF, and that will get you a bit of damage in while giving you enough distance to engage the pack, so like this, right? You can also just block jump the enemies, so you WE, then you E forward to dash into them. That is also a possibility when engaged to the pack. If you need long distance movement, so I would say to get like a lot of distance, you kind of want to do the forward dash into W, LMB, run and gun, into WF, and then try to WE the mob from a distance. That will probably be the best burst you can get when engaging into a pack, so like this. As you can see, you probably don't have any grind spot that will have larger distances than that. So as for the combo, this is the add-ons I am using. These are made specifically for the combo I'm running, obviously. And this is basically the inputs, and this is a full infinite combo, okay? You're gonna do SF into 2 hits of RMB, then Shift RMB fully cast into Shift LMB, SE, Shift C, Shift F. you can change the order of SC to earlier because SC is an extremely good repositioning skill. As you can see, I can dash through the mobs and get back attacks. That also does a lot of damage. I have never seen a class with such good repositioning. Other thing you can do while repositioning is just sideways LMB, run and gun, that can dash you through the mobs and will also be a decent repositioning if you need more than just SE. So how the combo looks here is SF, RMB, Shift RMB, Shift LMB, SE, Shift F, Shift C, SF, RMB, Shift RMB, Shift LMB, SC, Shift F, Shift C, and you get the gist of it. You can just rotate that infinitely. Now, a thing I would like to add is that you can press C, which will summon the drone, as you can see. This damage here will add up and would be good to cast this skill on cooldown, basically. However, the AoE from the hits, as you can see, is quite small. It only hits this scarecrow, doesn't hit the others. So if you're on a spot that needs a lot of AoE and the mobs don't really bunch up together, I don't think casting C is really needed, okay? But if it's a spot that needs single target damage, casting C is like really good because the skill comes out really fast, okay? So yeah, the only thing you need to notice that C has a 10-second cooldown, while this combo here has an 8-second cooldown. So you wouldn't be able to simply cast it at the same timing every time, okay? But yeah, it's pretty much like this. Let me just show the PvE combo again. You are gonna engage, for example, with WF, then you go SF, C, RMB, Shift LMB, SC, Shift F, Shift C, and you now repeat the combo. Yeah. And that's pretty much it for the PvE. I think this will get you started on basically every spot. So yeah, let's move on to PvP now. Okay, for PvP we already talked about trading, and we also talked about how to stay protected in SA if you want. These are the items I'm using for PvP in case you need. As for reforges, I'm using basically standard just full stats with crit rate reforges and BSR recovery, because those are important. And for crystals, I'm just running full AP, as you can see here. As for bombs on PvP, I recommend you run Letuza because it's a nice extra iframe, which this class doesn't have many. I also recommend you run Penance instead of Sin, because this dash here will give you a pretty good distance, as you can see here. So it's just another tool for you to kite. It costs no stamina as well. So even if you're low on stamina, you always have this extra dash to get you away from a sticky situation, okay? So let's just go over the combos now, okay? First of all, this class has a full SA combo. However, it's not that good, let's just say that. The full SA combo is something you do if you really think you won't be able to basically re-CC with a knockdown protected or get any frontal guards out while in a combo situation, right? It consists of a combo that has 2 stuns and 1 knockback. So I will show you here the inputs, but basically you're gonna engage with WE, which will stun the enemy. Then you will do E to dash forward, SF to debuff the enemy, double LMB to get a bit extra damage, and then you press Q to get the knockback re-CC. As you get the knockback re-CC, the camera will turn 180 degrees, and you will press WRMB, which will roll you forward and stun the enemy. Then you press spacebar, which will dash you backwards. You press E to dash forward again, and then Shift F or Shift C in the enemy's back. So yeah, let's look at the first combo here. We will engage, WE, SF, WRMB, Q, WRMB forward, spacebar, and there you get the last burst. If you have shy buffs, you can get a bit more damage out. So if you have shy buffs, I recommend you start with WE into Shift F, then you Q, WRMB, spacebar, SF, and then Shift C. With shy buffs, you'll be able to get the full damage out there. Without shy buffs, you wouldn't be able to get the Shift C into that combo, basically. And that's pretty much the full SA double stun combo. It's not the crazy amount of damage that other combos can do, but it can be enough to kill any squishy targets, okay? Now, moving on to another combo, let's say, for example, a combo where you start with a knockback catch, for example, with Q. So you'll be getting the Q knockback, then you'll dash into the enemy and press with T, and then press F for the KD RCC. After you get that RCC, you're gonna be able to do Shift F into SF, then you get the Mozambique drill knockdown, and then Shift Q, SRMB, SE. Something I didn't mention is that Shift Q and SRMB will both have a buff that increases the down attack damage by 70%. So if you manage to land these skills on a combo when the enemy is downed, they do extremely higher damage than if they're not CC'd, okay? So yeah, let's see the knockback combo here that flows into two knockdowns. So you're gonna do Q, E, F, Shift LMB, S, F, RMB, Shift Q, S, RMB, and then you hit it with the SC fade away. That's pretty much it. Now, another catch you might get is, for example, with Ripper Barrage. Ripper Barrage will combo a knockback into a knockdown. That means you won't actually be able to do a full double knockdown combo out of it, okay? So, for example, if you get the catch with Shift RMB, you then probably will have to close the gap. If the enemy is too far away, you'll have to WF into WE. If the enemy is close enough, you can close the gap with just WF. After you're close enough, you are gonna do SF into F for the knockdown RCC, and then Shift LMB, Shift Q, SE. Shift LMB and Shift Q are basically your biggest damage when the target is down, so you kinda always want to get it out on a combo if possible. So let's see how that would look here. So you get the Shift RMB catch, you jump in, you SF into RCC, then you Shift LMB, Shift Q, SE fade away. That should be enough to basically kill anything that's not like running a lot of DR downs. Finally, we're gonna look at one last combo, which is the combo when you do manage to hit a block jump. So that combo will start with a stun, which you then will try to flow into a knockdown, okay? So you start with WE, then you dash forward into SF, and then you do double LMB for a bit extra damage into the RMB Mozambique drill RCC. After the knockdown, just like on the last combo, you're gonna drop Shift LMB, Shift Q, and the SC if those skills are up. So let's just see how that looks. WE, E, SF, double LMB, RMB RCC, Shift LMB, Shift Q, SC, and you run away. And those are pretty much the basic combos you are gonna get. If Shift LMB or Shift Q are on cooldown, you always have the option of dropping S RMB. You probably never use that skill while trading because it's quite ass. Shift Q should also never be used while trading, so it should always be up whenever you get the CC. So that one is fine to always use on the combos. That closes the topic with the combos, guys. I hope it was easy to understand, and I hope they will help you when you start PvPing with this class. Okay, now let's move on to the topics of tips and tricks. So first of all, your blink skill, which is the teleport, we didn't really talk about it yet, but that's because it's not really relevant in a lot of scenarios. But your teleport basically works on a line of sight mechanic. So you can only TP to spots that you can actually kinda aim at. So if I want to dash through that wall, I'm kind of forced to aim upwards, hoping that the game lets me move as max as I can. Because if I just aim it like this, it will just, as you can see, teleport me there. So a thing you can do if you are used to playing range classes is that you can use your arrow keys to move the reticle up into the middle of the screen. This will, if you're not used to it, this will maybe fuck you up while doing combos, because you actually need to aim like downwards to it at melee range, okay? But this, what would this make is that you can actually just do Shift T and you don't even need to aim. You see, I can just aim through the top of that fence to get the teleport out. So that could be a use to just being able to teleport to places that otherwise would be quite hard to aim at if you have the reticle down here. So that would be the first tip, is if you fighting on a spot where you kind of want to access high ground with Shift T, you can try and abuse this fact to actually get TPs out where in other situations you wouldn't be able to, okay? Let me go back down here. Okay, another tip I wanted to give is that if you try to WE and there's like some terrain in front of you, a lot of times it will just block the skill. So like here, you would think I would be able to block jump that enemy, but if I do WE, it gets blocked by this small thing here, right? That happens as well if you try to block jump people that are on high grounds and stuff like that. It can just be, it won't work, right? So the tip I have here is that you can do WE after WF, and that will kind of bypass the terrain in a lot of scenarios. Sometimes even getting you up on high grounds that you wouldn't be able to block jump if you didn't WF first. So for example, if I WF into WE, here it gets me safely to that guy. So WE flows out of WF, that's like the tip I'm giving you here. Let's do that again, but this time a bit further away. And as you can see, I don't get body blocked by the rocks, even though I was doing it on the same line as if I just cast WE from there. And another tip, also related to WF, is that WF does not get falling animation when you're using it from the high ground. So if you need to go down from an high ground, WF is an excellent skill for you to just jump. Because you won't get falling animation, it will just drop down fully protected in SA. So definitely use that skill if you need to get down from high grounds, okay? Okay, another trick I'm gonna give you here is just that, as you can see, if I do double dash, that will put the spacebar dash on cooldown. That's because spacebar dash is just something that's an input for this second dash that you can do, where basically after every skill in the kit, you can just press spacebar and it will use that dash instead of the first one and will dash you backwards. You can input it forwards or sideways as well if you want. It is a bit trickier to do that, but basically at any point in time while I'm casting a skill, I can just press spacebar and it will cancel the skill, as you can see there, right? This makes it extremely important to be able to react to grabs, for example. This is an iframe on live instead of an SA, by the way, the spacebar. So basically you can dodge every iframe, you can dodge every grab as long as you react on time with spacebar, because it basically comes out instantly and cancels almost any skill besides Shift C, basically. And yeah, to input spacebar iframe forward, you would need to press W space instead of just space. So like if I'm doing this, that is double space, it will dash me forward instead of backwards, as you can see here, okay? That's where you can do different dashes. Okay. Finally, the last tip on this section is that if you are on the starting animation of Shift C, you can do the Shift 0 bump instantly, which will make you dash backwards in iframe instantly, instead of having to cast the starting animation. As you can see, Shift C has a small SA at the start. If you do it, however, right after the start of Shift C, it will cancel Shift C and go into Shift C. So like this, Shift C and Shift C. As you can see, it skipped that first SA throw because he was using the SA throw of Shift C. And that's pretty much it for the guide, guys. I don't really have anything else to show you. And I hope you guys enjoy playing Agent. Also, if you guys don't know, I stream on Twitch, link in the description. I hope to see you guys around, and bye bye.